Miss Katie, Miss Katie.
Oh, it's so good to see you. It's been so long. I've missed your red furry face.
Well, it's good to see Miss Katie, too.
I thought your cousin Jessie was coming with you.
Oh, well, she'll be here soon.
Oh, good, because I wanted to see how you two were doing, because I heard you had some sad news in your family.
Yeah, Elmo's Uncle Jack died.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Elmo.
Oh, well, here's a picture of him.
Oh.
See?
A death in the family becomes all the more difficult when there are children in the family. It's a subject our CBS Evening News anchor Katie Couric knows very well. When she lost her husband, Jay Monahan, to cancer in 1998, she had two very young daughters to counsel. That's one reason she's involved with a special primetime edition of Sesame Street on PBS this week, a helping hand to kids and parents grappling with death.
This is a picture of my dad. I think it was on his birthday. It was right after he had the cake.
My mom took the picture. I was playing on the bed with him and she told me to take a picture with him.
As adults, we try to create a home and family where our children will never feel pain. But sometimes that's not possible.
Our mom died of a brain aneurysm, I think it's called.
My dad died 2 years ago.
He died of cancer, I think.
By the time they are 15, 1 in 20 children will lose one or both parents. And yet, we still have so much to learn about how children process death.
Everyone was on the porch and we all gathered around and took a picture.
Death is often a taboo topic, and that makes it even tougher for the estimated 2 million children who have lost a parent.
I didn't really know anyone to talk to.
Their life is really grounded in the parent.
Mary Owen is the clinical director at the Went Center for Loss and Healing in Washington.
I don't know, I really don't remember.
We talked with 10 children between the ages of 7 and 12 who have all recently lost a parent.
And he would just give me a hug every night. I miss that the most.
The parent really is the one that sets the tone for understanding how life works. And so when you lose that, a child loses a part of that sense of security and safety that maybe an adult doesn't experience the same way.
And at a time when parents are dying in combat and others are starting families later in life, a generation of children is confronting death much earlier. By understanding what kids go through, parents, school officials, and other caring adults and children may be better equipped to help.
Children do grieve.
Psychologist Phyllis Silverman co-authored Harvard's landmark child bereavement study and is one of the field's pioneering researchers.
When I started out, it was very common to say that they're too young, they don't grieve.
They don't understand.
They don't understand. Well, it's true that they may not understand it in our terms, but we have to realize that this still nonetheless leaves a mark on the child. Children know when they've lost something. Mama goes away, and you cry, and she says, I'll be back later, and she is. And now she doesn't come back. Well, where did she go? What happened to her?
He's like in heaven or someplace, and like he's just not here with us.
Often explaining where a parent went is particularly difficult, in part because children, especially those younger than 7, can't comprehend the finality of death.
They could come back in ghost form, because like you could bury their body and lightning could hit like their tombstone, and then they would be a ghost. Come back.
They can see that flowers die. They might even know a dog dies. They may not really understand that it's not reversible. That takes a long time before they can understand the permanency and the universality. And I think that's a very difficult thing for them to take in.
When my mom called me, she said, your dad passed away. I said, what do you mean?
She said, like, he passed away. I said, huh? She said he died. And I was just shocked. I was speechless, and I just started crying.
The tendency is to try to use words that sound nicer or kinder, like, we've lost Daddy.
Or he's gone to heaven.
Children need to hear your father is dead, your mother is dead. They need to hear the truth.
The D word.
That's right. They need to hear the D word.
I just stood there.
Well, I just laid down in bed and said, how could this happen?
Sometimes they just break into tears. Sometimes they feel angry that all of a sudden life isn't fair. Sometimes they're shocked. And sometimes they laugh. They have fear grin. They smile, they giggle, they laugh because they're scared.
I love my dad, and I wanted to be there, to see him one last time before he was buried on the ground forever.
I just saw my mom in a casket, which I called a box during that time, and everybody else was crying and stuff, but I didn't cry because I really didn't know, what just happened to my mom.
It was once believed that children should be shielded from funerals and burials. But Phyllis Silverman says not so.
The silence of the grave is absolute. And going to the cemetery, participating in a funeral, is one small step in making it real. It's not only to be part of the ritual, but they have to be acknowledged as mourners. That's one of the most important things we can do, is to recognize that your child is mourning and needs to be included.
I never cried at his funeral, and I think the tears that come out now is because I never cried.
They say very clearly that I don't want to cry in front of my mother because I don't want to upset her. She has enough trouble. She has enough on her mind.
That's a big burden for a child.
Yes, it is a big burden. And so, unfortunately, if you have to take care of little children, you may have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, as we say, and make do. They have to think about their children.
I feel that I'm safe and that I have somebody who's watching over and protecting me.
When I'm just contemplating on to do the right thing, sometimes I can hear his voice as my conscience.
My daughter was just 2 when my husband died, and when she was 3, she said to me, Mommy, Daddy flew in the window last night, and he knelt down beside me and said, Carrie, I'm so proud of you. That's pretty typical, isn't it?
Yes, it's typical. They haven't had many, many years of memories. They create who that deceased person is. How do they hold on to that person, what that person thought and felt?
Even though that person is no longer there.
That's right, what you carry through the rest of your life. Yeah.
And I also have the bus schedule that my mom used to ride to go to her nursing class, and because she wanted to be a nurse before she died. And I really like this because she touched it, and I really like it.
Children grieve for the rest of their lives. They don't get over it.
Phyllis Silverman says grief isn't an illness that a child needs to recover from.
And they're not going to stop missing that person or thinking about that person or wondering what life would have been like if that person had lived. It doesn't end. Your whole life is different. You're never going to be the same as you were before.
Well, a lot, I think it's not fair.
I wish that she was still alive and that I could at least get to know her a little bit better.
In the end, perhaps the best way to help a child who's grieving is to listen and even learn.
We don't move away from him. We just keep going on with our lives and still have part of him with us.
Well, I hope I will get to a place where I don't get sad, but I just get happy remembering the good times we had.